You ever wonder why I say it doesn't have to make sense? Maybe I'm just making up something to sound cool? No, I already sound cool. Why would I do that, right? Hey guys, how you doing today? My subscriber count like doubled between the last month or so. So every Wednesday I do an advice video, which is more or less life advice. Sometimes it's an advice topic picked from the commenters or people who tweet me and ask for a specific topic. Sometimes it's just something I'm feeling that day or week. It doesn't have to make sense. So it doesn't have to make sense. So I mean, there we go. So you guys might have noticed I say it doesn't have to make sense, not only at the end of my YouTube videos, but like in my Snapchats, my Instagrams, when I did stand-up comedy that one time, at the end of my broadcasts, and all of that stuff. It doesn't have to make sense for me is something that is not only my saying, but it's my saying for a reason. And the main idea behind it doesn't have to make sense is there are so many things we do or choose to do in our lives or avoid doing in our lives. This is kind of a little bit from a few other talks and a few other things that I posted on here. But a lot of things we do in life, we don't do because they're the things that feel right. We do because they're the things that make the most sense. As an example, for the longest time I was working at a Best Buy, and then I worked at a Comcast company, and I actually was programming. I was a software programmer all throughout that time, but I barely really did it. I mostly did the jobs that I was doing. And I loved programming. Like I loved it. Like if I woke up, the first thing in my head, first off, half the time I'm dreaming about the code I'm writing in my brain. I'll keep it non-technical for those of you who are non-technical. The point is, I didn't do it very often, and I flaked on it a lot, and I avoided putting myself out there on it because it wasn't practical. It didn't make a lot of sense. If I had a year off, and I didn't have to worry about paying for anything, I could probably create at least a couple applications or games that would make me maybe a sustainable income. The point was, at that time, it didn't make sense to do something like that because I was so into making money from the jobs I was working at, which other than maybe the first year or two at Best Buy, I hated. I hated these jobs, and I just did them to make money because that's what made sense. That's what everybody told me to do, was make money, save up, get a car, get a hotel, get a place to live, pay all these bills, do all this stuff, and I was miserable for like 3 years. I was miserable, and I hated every second of it. But I always had money in my pocket because it made sense. It was the thing that was the reason I was waking up in the morning, was to make money, make money, make money. And I just was never happy. And it finally started to click. I finally started to just realize that all this shit that made sense didn't really make sense to me. Yeah, I was making money. Yeah, I was saving money. Yeah, I was able to pay for a car. Yeah, I was able to pay for a place to live. Not that you shouldn't be able to pay for the place that you live, but that's another topic altogether. The thing is, I was making a decent amount of money. I was doing car sales. I was making a commission. I was making a decent amount of money. But I was always feeling empty or sad or disappointed or just upset, and I was just always depressed, and I couldn't figure out what to do. Everybody kept telling me, well, just work harder, make more money, and you'll get happier. And I was like, well, that makes sense. Money is happiness, at least in America. Money is like equivalent to the amount of cool things you can do. Again, that's a whole nother topic. So I finally decided, like, no, this is enough. And what was really funny is I was always this person that didn't want to be out there, that didn't want to put things out there, that didn't want to create, that didn't, like I would make a game or I would make an application and I'd be afraid to post it to the Play Store, or I'd be afraid to show my friends what it was. I was afraid because the idea of doing something that I loved where a paycheck wasn't guaranteed didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. But I got this overwhelming feeling of like, every time I did it, I loved it. I would sit there and I'd program for hours. I'd stay up till 4 in the morning programming. And eventually I started making videos, mostly because they were just a lot of fun. Like I like being funny and comedic, and I loved that I started to become the person in the group of people that was able to make everybody laugh. And I noticed a lot of people, as some of you do, a lot of people flock to me for advice. I don't know if it's because I feel comfortable around me. I'm not really sure what it is, to be honest. I just know people like opening up to me. So I liked making them laugh, I liked making them happy, and that's where comedy and video started to stem off, as well as creating programs and games and all that. And for the longest time I did it very much on the side. I didn't want to jump all the way into it because it just wasn't sustainable. It didn't make sense. Didn't make sense. Wow. Why do the thing that makes you happy if you're going to be poor and broke all the time? Doesn't make sense, right? Most people will tell you, don't do that, that's stupid. And for me, I'm getting a little emotional, sorry. This is actually a pretty important topic to me. For me, doing what doesn't make sense is kind of the reason I do everything that I do. I ended up quitting the job I hated. I ended up working part-time at a Stables for like a year and a half. And it was a pretty fun job, but it didn't really pay all the bills. I was always scrounging on money. And I just kept doing what I was doing, what I loved. And it didn't have to make sense to me, because making sense for my entire life never worked. Making sense did not work. Doing what felt right was what worked. Doing the videos was so much fun. Getting feedback from you guys was just super freaking cool. By the way, I'm gonna try not to cry on most of these videos. This one was important to me. Normally I wouldn't get emotional, but that kind of guy. Playing games, making people smile, making people laugh, making people enjoy their own life made me enjoy my life. And it didn't have to make sense, and it made no sense to most people that I explained it to. But it was right. It was right for me. It was what felt right. And I have not looked back since. Yeah, I don't make a stack of money. I make less money now than I did when I was working in car sales, which I made like 3 times as much as I make now. But I was miserable. I wasn't doing what I loved, and but it made sense to everybody, right? And this is the part I did want to get to and stress a little bit. Don't throw all of your job opportunities away and make no money. Make sure you can still provide for yourself and like have a home and stuff. But don't chase what makes sense. What makes sense will not always make you happy. What feels right, what is right in your own personal way is what you should chase. For me, it was making other people happy and joyful, making things that I loved like games, waking up and being excited to create something was what made me me, and what makes me ridiculously crazy and hyperactive and all this other stuff. So when I say it doesn't have to make sense, what I really want you guys to understand is that for me, the way I live my life now is that I don't choose or do something based on what is practical, what makes sense, because it doesn't have to make sense. What it has to do is make you happy. And that's why it doesn't have to make sense. Alright, now that I got all that over, thank you guys so much for watching. Every Wednesday I do an advice-oriented video like this, so if you like these videos, subscribe, and every Wednesday you'll be able to see something new in this manner, shape, or form. And if you have things that you think you need advice or would like advice for, tweet them to me, Instagram them to me, or post them in the comments. If you tweet them or Instagram, hashtag them, it doesn't have to make sense, or IDHTMS, so I can find them. And if it's something that I can speak to, I will make a video on it, because I love helping you guys, and nothing's cooler than when I do a video and then one of you hits me back and was like, this was so helpful or inspirational or whatever, and then I just want to hug you to death. Thanks so much, guys. Also, I want to start doing something extra on these Wednesday videos. So what I want you guys to do, you little awesome people, every chance you get to make someone else happy or to do something that makes you happy, or maybe you read an article and it just makes you happy, something inspirational, awesome, or really cool, I want you to send it to me. And tweet it, Instagram it, post in the comments, or whatever, and tag it with IDHTMS, or it doesn't have to make sense. And the ones I really like, I will post to the end of this video as sort of like a, oh, these are awesome things you should check out, starting next week. So if you see stuff like that, send it to me, because I would love to see it all. Also, I do make random comedy videos every Friday, and I do vlogs every Monday, so if you're not already subscribed, you can come see those things out as well. Love you guys. It doesn't have to make sense. See you.